Hi, I'm David with Master Flo Valve. Today we're going to learn how to rebuild a manual P2 or P25 choke. These are some of the tools that we're going to need when we rebuild this choke. We're going to use a punch, various picks, a combination wrench, 7/16, a 1/8 inch Allen wrench, assortment of hammers, and a pipe wrench, as well as Loctite 271, an anti-seize, a primer for our Loctite, AP1 for our seals, and AP5 for our bearings. Before we open the valve, we need to make sure that all the pressure has been bled down from the piping. Once that is done, you want to partially open your valve. Next, we're going to remove the hand wheel from the choke. Remove the set screw from the hand wheel. You don't have to take it all the way out. You can leave it in. Next, there's a key you need to remove so you don't drop it. We're going to remove the hammer union. Then we're going to remove our choke insert from the body. Next, we're going to remove our seat nozzle. Now we're going to drive our retaining sleeve pin through using our punch. Once it goes all the way through, you can remove this. So you want to be careful and not lose the pin. Next, we're going to remove our backup and our bonnet seal. Then we're going to remove our calibration head. Got a set screw on both sides. Pull it off. It's got a wiper to keep dust and debris out of your stem nut threads. You can pull your bearings off. You got a race, roller bearings, and another race. Going to remove our stem nut. Going to remove our second set of bearings, race, roller, and race. Next, we're going to take our bonnet and we're going to install it into the vise, gripping it right here. There's no sealing area right here. We're going to use a pipe wrench to remove our flow collar. So we're going to use our pipe wrench on our flow collar to remove it. But we're going to use the pipe wrench in this area right here. It's got the most material. We'll install our pipe wrench on the back of the flow collar and we'll remove it. And if you don't have a vise in the field, you can always use two pipe wrenches. Take one, hold up the backup on your bonnet. Take your next pipe wrench, put it on the end of the flow collar, and twist off. Washer, your stem stud. From here, we can remove our stem. Notice there's a key on the stem that lines up with the bonnet slot, the keyway in the bonnet. Next, on the inside, there's a snap ring holding the seals in. We want to remove that. With everything removed, we can inspect the components of the choke. First, I want to look at the sealing area on the inside of the bonnet where the seals line up. We want to make sure that there's no deep gouges, scratches, or pitting. So we'll inspect this right here. Next, we want to inspect where the bonnet seal and backup go. Right here. We want to inspect our keyway, make sure it's not rounded off. Looks pretty good. Our key, make sure the edges aren't rounded off. We want to look at our threads on our stem. We want to look at our sealing surface on our stem. Make sure there's no scratches, pitting. Next, we want to look at our flow collar. We want to inspect the sealing area right here where it seals up against the seat. We want to look for any kind of premature wear right here. On our nozzle, we want to look at our orifice. Make sure there's no premature wear there or here. Looking for any kind of cracks. The sealing area right there. Same thing with our seat. Our sealing area right here. This is where our flow collar seals. We want to make sure there's no deep scratches, pitting. We also want to look at the sealing area in here. We want to inspect our bearings. We want to look at our races and our rollers. Next, we're going to inspect the retainer sleeve. This one, the side has been cut out of it for a display unit. We want to inspect the inlet hole. We want to inspect around here, as well as our deflector bar right here. Next, we want to look at our stem nut. We want to inspect our threads on the inside, make sure they're in good condition. Make sure the top and bottom's in good condition. You want to look at your calibration head, make sure your wiper's intact, and both of your set screws are installed. And on the hammer union, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the weather seal on the inside, make sure it's in good shape, keeps debris and dirt out. We also want to inspect our grease fitting, make sure it's clear and that it will accept grease. We want to inspect our stem lock to make sure the threads are good. This operates fine. On the body, we're going to inspect the seat and nozzle area as well as where the bonnet seal sits in the body. With this being a cutaway, we can point out the sealing locations a little easier. So you want to inspect those two areas, looking for pitting, gouging, anything like that. Where the bonnet seal goes, look all the way around, make sure there's no pitting, scoring. You also want to look at this alignment pin slot. This is where your groove pin goes on your bonnet. After all of our inspections, now we're ready to reassemble. Anytime you disassemble this choke and put it back together, I recommend using new seals. Grease up our sealing surface on the inside of the bonnet. Next, we're going to install our stem seals. We want to make sure our cups are facing towards us. Pressure engages that. So you want to make sure when you install it, it's facing you. Take it all together, slide it in, push it all the way down. Next, we're going to install our snap ring. Once our snap ring's installed, I always like to double check it to make sure it's in the groove all the way around. Take a little more grease, grease up the inside of this. Then we're going to use our AP5 grease, which is, we use this more for metal on metal. I like to fill up the keyway, apply liberally on the inside of this. We're going to install our key. Grease this up as well. Locate our keyway right here. I'm going to install our stem. You should be able just to push it all the way in. It should slide all the way through. Now we're going to install our stem stud. I like to apply the Loctite primer to it. Just apply it to the threads. Next, we're going to apply Loctite 271 to the first thread of the stem stud. Next, you want to screw the stem stud into the stem. Then you're going to install your lock washer. Next, you're going to apply Loctite to the first thread of your stem stud. Then we're going to install our flow collar. Now we're going to use our pipe wrenches to tighten this up. Put one pipe wrench on the back like this. Take our other pipe wrench, put it on the back of the flow collar where it's got the most material. We're going to use a little bit of force on this. Next, we're going to install our backup and our bonnet seal. Next, we're going to install our retainer sleeve. We're going to line our holes up, this hole with the hole on your bonnet. We're going to install our groove pin, smooth side down. You want to make sure the groove pin is flush with your retainer sleeve so it does not drag in the body and cause any scratches. Apply grease to the threads. Next, we're going to install our bearings. The first set of bearings, you'll have a race, we'll have a roller, and then you'll have another race. We're going to apply grease to the race first using our AP5. Our next piece for installation is going to be our stem nut. The threads inside, I like to grease those really well. We're going to install our second set of bearings, race, roller bearings, and race. Next, we're going to install our seat nozzle. What we're going to do is we're going to take our seat and hold it like this. We want to take our nozzle and install it into the seat as so. Next, you can put a little bit of grease in your grooves to hold the seals. You can install your seat seal. Install your nozzle seal, and then apply a little more grease to the outside. We're going to install our seat and cage. With our seals installed, I like to use a hook tool, grab it, and I can lower it down into the body like this. Once you get it in, you want to line up your large port with your inlet right here. Next, we're going to apply some AP1 to the body of the choke where the bonnet seal goes. We're going to apply a little bit of the AP1 to the bonnet seal on the bonnet. Next, we're going to install the insert into the body. On your body, you have your groove pin hole. You have a groove pin on this bonnet. They have got to be aligned up. If you install this and do not align that up, everything inside will be rotated. So once you line everything up, everything is aligned with your inlet. Next, we're going to apply some anti-seize to our threads and the top of our bonnet. We'll take our hammer union, slide it on. And we'll take our key I'll install it into our stem nut. I'll align our keyway right here on our hand wheel with that. You have a set screw for your hand wheel. Slightly pick up on the hand wheel where the screw goes into the groove in the stem nut. And we can tighten that up. Next, I'm going to run this all the way closed until it stops. You don't have to hit this hard, but you want to give it a couple of taps. You want to keep resistance on your hand wheel, so you're just going to bust it loose just a little bit, but you want to feel that it's still touching. Come back. Do that again. Move it. Still feel some resistance on there. Don't bust it all the way loose. Once you get it free, partially open the valve. You can hammer up on it. From here, we're going to run it all the way back down. See how it feels. Feels smooth. Run it open. Next, we're going to install our calibration head onto our choke. Notice how it has a weather seal right here. It also has a set screw on both sides. One here and one here. Next, we'll install it onto the stem. We're gonna get it pretty close to the bottom line where we're at. We're gonna snug the set screw, just one of them, to keep it from rotating while we operate. We'll run it all the way down. Our clothesline on our calibration head should line up flush with the stem nut. Once that's verified, go all the way open. Tighten up our set screws. That concludes our P2 choke rebuild. If you need any additional information, please see our information below.